Will is reading in his room. Chucky, his friend, comes to look for him. Professor Gerald Lambeau is almost done with the class at MIT. He tells his students that he has written a math problem on the board outside the room. If someone figures it out, their name will be in the MIT Tech newsletter. Will is the janitor, and he is mopping the floor when he looks at the board and sees a math problem. Will leaves the bar early to work on the math problem. The next day, he takes the early train to work and writes the answer on the board. Will and Chucky make plans to hang out with some smart kids at Harvard next week. Some students come up to Professor Gerald and ask him who proved the theorem. He looks at the board and sees that it's right, but no one knows who did it. Will gets into a fight with a guy who picked on him in kindergarten after a baseball game. They beat them and the police arrive, and arrests Will. During his talk, Lambeau asks who proved the theorem, but no one stands up. He gives them another problem that he says took him 2 years to figure out, and he asks them to try to solve it. Will writes on the board later, and Lambeau sees it. Will is accused of messing with someone else's work, but when Will leaves, Lambeau realizes that Will was actually solving the problem. Will tells his friends later that he lost his job. They go to a bar in Harvard, where Chucky flirts with a girl named Skylar. Clark tries to make Chucky look bad, but Will steps in to stop them from fighting, and Clark looks bad because Will knows more than him. The crowd goes their separate ways, and 45 minutes later, Skylar walks up to Will and calls him an idiot. She has been waiting for him to come and talk to her. She gives him her phone number and suggests that they get coffee together sometime. Will sees Clark and tells him that he got Skylar's phone number. Lambeau asks about Will and finds out that his parole officer helped him get the job as a janitor. Lambeau goes to Will's arraignment hearing and listens to Will defend himself. The judge says that he has talked his way out of other crimes before, but since he hit a police officer, the motion will not be dropped this time. Lambeau visits him in jail and tells him that the judge has agreed to let him go as long as he stays with him. There are 2 rules: he has to study advanced math with him every week, and he has to see a therapist. Will's math classes seem to be going well, but every therapist he sees finds something wrong with him. Finally, Lambeau sets up a meeting between him and Dr. Sean McGuire, who was his college roommate. At first, they talk about books and art. Will finds out that he is no longer married and wonders if he married the wrong woman. He also asks her if she left him for another man. Sean grabs him by the throat and tells him to stop talking badly about his wife. Will leaves, and Lambeau comes back to see Sean. Lambeau says he understands if he doesn't want to see him again, but Sean says he will. Later, Sean is having a glass of whiskey at home while he thinks. Skylar and Will go out on a date, and while they are eating, they kiss. The next time Will goes to therapy, Sean takes him to the park. Sean says that he gave a lot of thought what he said in their last session. Then tells Will that he is just a child. He has only read books, he has never done anything for himself. Will hears from Sean that his wife died from cancer. Sean calls Will a genius and says he wants to get to know him, but Will is too scared to let anyone in. During their next meeting, Sean and Will sat in silence for most of the time. Sean wants him to open up and say something. In the next session, Sean is almost asleep when Will begins to talk. Will tells him he went on a date with a girl last week and liked her a lot, but he hasn't called her back yet. Sean calls him a beginner, and the only way for him to find out about Skylar is to try. Will asks him if he ever thinks about getting married again, and Sean says, no. Will later goes to meet Skylar. She is singing in her room and wonders why he didn't call. He tells her he's sorry and asks if they can go out again. She tells him she's busy right now because she needs to figure out a formula. He helps her figure it out quickly and tells her he can't wait. They go out on a date. Will asks Sean at his next session if he regrets meeting his wife because it hurts him now. He tells Will that since he met her 20 years ago, he doesn't regret a single thing. Will is shocked by what she just said. Will agrees to take Skylar drinking with him and his friends, and everyone gets along well. She's sad that she can't go to his house or meet his family, but he says they'll do it another time. Sean and Lambeau meet in a bar, where they talk about Will's progress. Will is getting job offers, so Lambeau asks if they've talked about his future yet. Will needs to know what to do if he wants to make a difference in the world. Sean thinks this sounds more like manipulation, and they should give him time to figure out what he wants. Lambeau tells Will that it's too late because he already has a job interview. Will, on the other hand, has set Chucky in his place. Skylar is studying while Will is with her. She asks him if he can remember everything. He says he has no idea. She wants to know what's going on in his head. He says it's like playing the piano. Beethoven and Mozart could just look at a piano and start playing. He just looks at these problems in science and math and understands them. She says it's not fair that she has been there for 4 years and just now found him. Skylar asks him to go to California with her the next morning. He gets scared and tells her he can't go because he works here. Skylar tells him that he should just tell her if he doesn't love her. She says that her father, who died when she was only 13, left her the money she has now. She tells she will give the money back so that she can spend one more day with her father. Will acts cold towards her, tells he doesn't love her and leaves her crying. Later, Lambeau and Will talk about an equation. Lambeau gets mad when he finds out that Will didn't show up to the meeting he set up. Will responded by saying all these math theorems are so easy for him and didn't worth his time. Will lights the math solution on fire, and Lambeau puts it out as quickly as he can. Lambeau says that he wishes he hadn't met Will because then he could sleep at night without knowing that there is someone else like him, and he wouldn't have to see Will throw everything away. A few days later, Will goes to meet someone from the National Security Agency. They try to convince him for working for them, but he says that if he breaks a code that lets the government bomb a civilian village in the Middle East, that would be his fault. Will tells Sean about this. Sean asks him if he feels alone. Will says, "I have soulmates," and then he starts listing scientists and philosophers. Sean tells him that he can't talk to them, but he can do anything else he wants. Will says that he didn't ask for this. Sean asks him why he chooses to drive 40 minutes to be a janitor at a prestigious technical college, then finishes other people's formulas that maybe only 2 other people in the world can do, and then lies about it. Sean asks him what he wants to do, and Will tells him in a casual way what he wants to do. Sean has had enough, so he tells Will to leave because he already knows the answer to every question except that one. After that, Will calls Skylar and tells her that he is going on all these interviews, so she doesn't have to worry about him being a construction worker. She tells him that it never was a problem and that she loves him. Will doesn't say it back, and she gets on her flight to California soon after. When Lambeau gets to Sean's office and sees that Will isn't there, he tells Sean that he'll go to jail if he files a report saying that Will isn't there. Will tells Chucky that Skylar has left for medical school when he asks about her. Chucky looks sad and tells Will that he hopes that one day he will drive up to Will's house and find that Will is not there because he has gone to do something with his life. Lambeau is mad that Sean is making him look bad. Sean tells Will that he has trouble trusting people because his parents left him when he was young. Before people can leave him, he pushes them away. Lambeau is mad that Sean is trying to convince Will that it's okay to fail. He thinks that Sean is jealous of Lambeau's success, but he can't make Will think that it's okay to fail. Sean says that he is proud of what he has done, but Will walks in on the argument at that moment, and Lambeau leaves. Sean looks at Will's evaluation file and sees that his foster father hurt him. Sean can understand because he was abused as a child too. Will tells Sean that he broke up with Skylar, and Sean tells him that he is not to blame for. He tells him over and over until Will starts crying. He breaks down and says sorry to Sean as they hug. Will choose one of the jobs that Lambeau set up. Sean later asks him if that's what he wants, and Will says he thinks that's what he wants. As their last meeting ends, Will asks if they can keep in touch. Sean gives him a hug and wishes him luck. Will celebrates his birthday with the guys at the bar, where they give him a car so he can get around more easily. Sean tells Lambeau that he is going to travel and write while he is away. Will puts a note in Sean's mailbox while Sean packs. When Chucky goes to Will's house, he doesn't find him there. He goes back to the car to tell his friends, who are all happy for him. When Sean reads the note, he sees that it says he went to see a girl. He is going to California to give things with Skylar another try. Like and subscribe to see more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. That helps my channel a lot. Thanks for coming to watch.